Yeah. Mayor Wayne.
Mayor Wayne. I did not tell them to use it.
Sure.
I actually asked one day I got in here, they told me, I'm like, are you kidding me?
It's easier to remember their.
Is it the council or the McHenry guest?
Guest.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Monday, April 29th City Council meeting. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman McHenry.
Here.
Alderman Vine.
Here.
Alderman McHenry.
Here.
Alderman Curry.
Here.
Alderman Schaefer.
Here.
Alderman Crabb.
Here.
Alderman Santee.
Here.
Mayor Jack.
Here. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I'm going to read a few proclamations for one alderman and one alderwoman that'll be stepping down from the city council. So I'm going to go ahead and stand in the front here and read those two, and then Administrator Moorfield will be reading one for Director John Schmidt from Public Works, who is retiring after 35 years. So I'll go ahead and handle my two here, and then Derek will handle John's. Whereas Scott Curry was elected to the McHenry City Council as the Ward 4 Alderman in May of 2015 and has served honorably until this day, April 29, 2019. And whereas Scott Curry, during his tenure as Alderman, has served as the Chair of the Finance and Personnel Committee, as well as being appointed as the City Council representative and the city's negotiation team in regards to the renewal of the mining operations agreement with Meyer Material. And whereas during his years of service, Scott Curry has been instrumental in the following tasks: formulation and adoption of the fund balance and reserve policy, review and revision of the purchasing policy, leading to the city council effort for the development of a list of pre-qualified engineering firms to serve the city, approval of the development of the Northeast Regional Communications Center, NERCOM, completion of the decommissioning of the Central Wastewater Treatment Plant, purchase, design, and construction of Miller Riverfront Park Public Boat Launch, addition of the annual McHenry Shamrocks the Fox event, redevelopment of the Green Street Downtown District and promoting business development throughout the city, ensuring sound financial management and fiscal prudence by thoroughly reviewing municipal budget and audit documents, spearheading the effort to reduce city's portions of the property tax levy, and serving as a city council representative and leading negotiations with Meyer Material to establish a new mining agreement with enhanced operating guidelines and substantial financial benefit to the residents of the community, among numerous other noteworthy accomplishments. And whereas Alderman Scott Curry has acted in the matters with the welfare of the city uppermost in his mind, and can look back with pride on his numerous contributions and accomplishments while serving our community honorably. Now therefore, I, Wayne S. Jett, Mayor of the City of McHenry, do hereby proclaim on behalf of the citizens of Ward 4 and the entire McHenry community our gratitude, admiration, and appreciation to Alderman Scott Curry for an outstanding job during his period of service. So at this time, I'd like to present you with the proclamation.
Chief Burke.
For all the effort you put into every item, and really, honestly, and I really mean that. Everything you've done for the city. So.
Wait a minute.
We could get the chief to email it.
Right.
I'm sending it to you.
Oh, thanks. God love you.
You good? All right.
All right. Thank you very much. Jerry Condon, Alderwoman, Ward 7. Whereas Jerry A. Condon was elected to the McHenry City Council as the Ward 7 Alderwoman in May of 2003 and was re-elected 3 times and has served honorably until this day, April 29, 2019. And whereas Jerry A. Condon, during her tenure as Alderwoman, has served on several standing committees, including the Finance and Personnel Committee, Parks and Recreation Committee, and the Community Development Committee, where she has served as its chairwoman for 14 of her 16 years in service. Whereas Jerry Condon represented the city of McHenry on the McHenry Area Youth Commission and the Character Counts Coalition, serving as a founding board member and its president. Whereas Jerry Condon represented the city, I already read that. Whereas during her years of service, Jerry Condon was instrumental in the following tasks: development of the Parks and Open Space Master Plan, purchase of the 22-acre addition to Peterson Park, development of the Bike Path Plan, development of the Peterson Park waterfront, development and expansion of the city parkland, interagency mutual aid agreements and partnership for the Police Dispatch Center, establishment of Home Rule Authority, design and construction of the McHenry Riverwalk, purchase, design, and construction of Miller Point and Public Piers, development of McBark Dog Park, expansion of the City of McHenry Forestry Division, planning, design, and construction of the McHenry Recreation Center, completion of the decommissioning of the Central Wastewater Treatment Plant, purchase, design, and construction of the Miller Riverfront Park Public Boat Launch, addition of an annual McHenry Shamrocks the Fox event, redevelopment of the Green Street Downtown District, establishment of 10 years of balanced city budgets, implementation of an ordinance allowing women to be recognized as alderwomen. Also among numerous other noteworthy accomplishments, to say the least. Whereas Jerry A. Condon has acted in all matters with the welfare of the city uppermost in her mind and can look back in pride in her numerous contributions and accomplishments while serving our community honorably. Now therefore, I, Wayne S. Jett, Mayor of the City of McHenry, do hereby proclaim on behalf of the citizens of Ward 7 and the entire McHenry community our gratitude, admiration, and appreciation to Alderwoman Jerry A. Condon for an outstanding job during her 16 years of service. It's been a pleasure.
Dear dutiful husband. Husband should get up there and take a picture closer.
I have to get a picture too. Thank you.
Good job.
Before we move forward with John Schmitz, either of you like to say anything?
Come on.
Really? No, just kidding. Just kidding. Yeah. Okay.
Well, I wasn't prepared to make any comments. I know that was surprising. But it's just, you know, I've appreciated the opportunity to serve the residents of McHenry and hopefully in some ways made an impact. And you know, I think it's been a good group, good 4 years, and lots been accomplished. And the city is moving forward, and you know, I think that's what we can look forward to. And I appreciate everybody here. We haven't obviously always agreed. Probably won't agree tonight, but you know, that's kind of the name of the game. That's why there's 7 council members sitting here. It's because not everybody's going to always agree on everything. Everybody's viewpoint gets heard, and then you know, the vote is the vote, and hopefully we find the best course going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Like Scott, I'm often not speechless, but this really has been an honor. When I was reflecting on it today, I had shared a post that my 23-year-old son was only 7 years old. He was a baby. Now he's an adult living on his own. I've worked with 3 different mayors. I've seen a lot of department heads come and go, and through it all, the only other person who's been here longer is Alderman Glab, and I've really enjoyed seeing the progress that we've made, and as you said, we don't always agree, but that's part of we're coming together and doing what's right for the community. And my dad taught me to always be of service. He was very active in our community, so to me that's just what you did. And I think my husband Jim probably is still a little bit upset with Pam Altoff and Sue Lau because they asked me to run, and that's kind of changed the dynamics of our whole family, but it's really been an honor to serve. Thank you. Thank you, all of you guys.
I'll turn it on.
I said I'd read this one. I have the privilege to be able to have worked with John Schmidt for the last 7 years that I've been here, and I'll just read through this. This is a proclamation honoring John Schmidt, Director of Public Works, whereas John Schmidt began his employment with the city of McHenry in May of 1984. I was 15 when he started. Has provided 35 years of distinguished service for the city of McHenry and has served honorably until the date of his retirement. We gave you a couple days credit. It says May 3rd, 2019. So,
Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome. Whereas John Schmidt is a true example of loyalty and dedication to his community, as well as continuous professional formation and longevity. And whereas John Schmidt served the city of McHenry as a frontline maintenance worker, division superintendent, and public works director, served as an officer in the North Suburban Water Works Association, represented the city of McHenry at the McHenry County Council of Mayors, and led cooperative efforts with numerous local agencies and districts to continuously provide for the welfare of the citizens of McHenry and the surrounding area. And whereas during his years of service, John Schmidt undertook and successfully managed relocation of the Public Works Department to the current centralized facility on Industrial Drive, successful consolidation of the central and south wastewater treatment plants, Water Treatment Plant 2 rehabilitation, successfully securing millions of dollars in grant money and federal aid for city projects, Phase 1, 2, 3, and 3 engineering and the construction of Illinois Route 31 and Route 120 intersection improvements, Phase 1, 2, and 3 engineering for the construction of Bull Valley Road and Kern Road intersection signalization, and engineering and construction of Pearl Street and Lincoln Road improvements, creation of the Public Works Utility Division, the development of the selection process for the city's pool of pre-qualified engineering firms, mentorship, development, and succession planning for the staff of the Public Works Department, and expansion of the capabilities of the Public Works Department to create a productive, capable, and efficient department for the city of McHenry. And whereas John Schmidt has performed his duties in all matters with the welfare of the citizens of McHenry uppermost in his mind, John and his family have made numerous sacrifices to allow him to fulfill his duties to the citizens of the city. And John has successfully led the Public Works Department while managing numerous public infrastructure projects of great scale and complexity. Now it's yours.
Now therefore, I, Wayne S. Jett, Mayor of the City of McHenry, do hereby proclaim on behalf of the citizens of the City of McHenry our gratitude, admiration, and appreciation to Public Works Director John M. Schmidt for his professional excellence, loyalty, service, and dedication to the City of McHenry during his 35 years of distinguished service.
Smile time. It's gonna get nothing but better from here.
Thank you, guys.
So first of all, as everyone knows me, I wear my emotions on my sleeve. My oldest son Josh is here tonight, and unfortunately, Josh, you inherited that trait too. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
First of all, I want to thank my family. I told them all the time about, how honored I was to work for the city of McHenry, where I grew up, went to school, and raised my family. And as the proclamation says, that they sacrificed too. I missed a lot of Christmases, Christmas Eves, birthdays, and other special family events. There's no opportune time for a water main break, snowstorm, as we found out the last couple of weeks. And like I said, I want to thank my family the most. And I want to thank the city as a whole and all the residents for the opportunities they have given me. I started out here in 1984. My main responsibility was water meter reading, and the city's been great to me. I moved up through the ranks, never dreaming about being Director of Public Works. And I told Derek today at our staff meeting, you know, I always did things that was the best for the city of McHenry. Not always maybe the most popular thing to do, but what I felt was best for the city of McHenry. And by far, I did what was best for the Public Works. The Public Works Department is in my blood, and I thank everyone who worked for me. One of the things that you do, a successful supervisor does, is surround themselves with good people. And that's what I did, and they did everything for me to make me look good, and I appreciate them too. So, thank you.
Does everybody know how to get a hold of John?
I have his personal cell phone, I'll send it to him.
Congratulations, Jen. Appreciate all you've done with the city. Thank you very much. Moving on to the next item on the agenda is public comment. Carl Herdig, if you'd like to come up to the podium, please state your name and the address for public record, please.
Good evening, my name is Carl Hertig, 5411 Chasefield Circle, resident for 33 years. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Alderman Glab on his re-election. The city deserves an alderman like you that has been selfless, helpful to the community. Congratulations. To my alderman, Scott Curry. Thanks for your time. I appreciated when you came over to the house when you were running for election and talked to me and were thoughtful. Sorry to see you go. Good luck to you. I appreciate your time and your service. And to the city council, I'd like to wonder, when you decided to eliminate the vehicle stickers this year, how you plan on policing the yard waste drop-off at Knox Park on Saturdays to make sure that we don't have people that don't live inside the city bringing up their yard waste. Now, I know that we will get a tonnage on this, and if the tonnage exceeds what it was last year, there is liable to be an increase in the cost of our yard waste trash pickups at our properties. So I hope you'll address this. Appreciate your time. Thank you. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you, Carl.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Is there anyone in the public that would like to make a public comment at this time? See none? Moving on to the consent agenda. I'm looking for discussion on items, or actually, is there any council that would like to pull any items for separate consideration? No? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and ask for a motion to approve consent agenda items 6A through 6E. Alderman Schaefer?
I'll make that motion.
Second. Alderman Santee?
I'll second the motion.
Discussion on these items? Alderman Santee?
Just recognizing that that item D or E is the Kentucky Derby special events at Salerno's, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
B.
B.
B. B is in
Oh,
B.
I'm sorry.
B.
Okay, my apologies. That'll be item 6B. It's a special event liquor license.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Discussion? Any other questions, comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Schaefer,
Yes.
Alderman Santee.
Yes.
Alderman Glab.
Yes.
Alderman Curry.
Yes.
Alderman Mahavik.
Yes.
Alderman Devine.
Yes.
Alderwoman Couch.
Yes.
Thank you, Council. The next item on the agenda is an action item 7A, looking for a discussion by council to approve the fiscal year 2019-2020 annual appointments of municipal officers, board, and commission members. Derek, can you please present this item?
Yeah, there's one correction on here on the amended list that was sent out the other day, and then council has in front of him, Rick Huber, but the police commission actually is not up for appointment until next year. His name was inadvertently left on the list, so I apologize for that.
Thank you. Any other discussion, questions? Alderwoman Condon?
Just sharing my thoughts on, first, congratulations to all of the citizens who have come forward to volunteer their time and be on some of the commissions. Some are paid, but he's not looking. But did want to just make one note about the standing committees, which are Public Works, Community Development, Finance, and Parks. Did I say that twice?
Oh, you're right.
Do I get it? Okay. And in my tenure, I've been on, the only committee I've been on the entire time is Community Development. And over the years, we've gone from having monthly meetings back when there was a lot of development and we had a lot of people coming forward with development, to now where we haven't had much development. We've done overlay districts, we've done a lot of things over the years, put a lot of brochures out for the community for information such as, well, I'm hoping we have a chance to get into pools soon. I know the mayor has, but, and use those on just pool safety and other things in the community. And we've been very active. So I know there's been discussion about eliminating committees or going ad hoc or how, a variation. I just wanted to kind of share, at least with the aldermen who will continue to be here, that I think there is some purpose. I've been here where we've had committees of the whole, and while they're productive, I think there are some things, and I would say especially community development issues, where it's nice to have a review of things on a smaller scale and to be able to have some discussions. So I would hate for committees to go away altogether. I don't think they need to be every month. I think a lot of it could be as needed, but I would encourage the next council to continue to have the ability to have committee meetings, just so when there are larger projects, it can be reviewed and make recommendations to the whole council. So that's all, but congratulations to all of those that are being appointed to serve in the community on our commissions.
Thank you. Alderman Santee?
Yeah, just to make sure I understand that final, the last one on our list is that emergency services and disaster. Police commander, is that the police chief or is that someone in your?
It's one of the commanders.
It's one of the commanders?
The division commander, the support services commander assumes that role. Realistically, that whole section, I think, of the ordinance is gonna get revised next year because we really don't carry that organization. We use the McHenry County EMA, and it's an outdated section, but we still chose to reappoint it this year until we could update the ordinance and bring something back to council later on in the year.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Curry?
Yeah, I just wanted to, first of all, congratulate the members of these various commissions and committees on their appointment or reappointment. Assuming this passes, which I assume it probably will. And I would like to echo some of the comments that Councilmember Condon just mentioned about committee, since she and I won't be here to in that discussion, so I'll make the same comments now. It's very similar, is that I think there's a value in committees. I think the committees of the whole, the issue there is that it becomes somewhat cumbersome because we're all here and all of staff is generally here on a committee of the whole. And I didn't know that was being discussed, but if that's the case, I would think that would not be as productive as the smaller committees, and then I think the committees themselves, whether they schedule, with finance, I scheduled pretty much monthly meetings, but then we canceled them if we didn't need them, so that way they were available. But I just think the smaller groups, should be able to get more done or at least get things considered and hopefully ferret out some of the details, which is kind of the idea of it before it comes before the entire council. So I echo many of the things that you said there. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion, questions? This time I'll open up to the public. Is there any public comment on this item? See none, I'm looking for a motion for item 7A as presented. Alderman Curry?
I'll make that motion.
Second, Alderwoman Condon. Discussion on this item? Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Curry.
Yes.
Alderwoman Condon.
Yes.
Alderman Devine.
Yes.
Alderman Mahavik.
Yes.
Alderman Schaper.
Yes.
Alderman Glab.
Yes.
Alderman Sant.
Yes.
Thank you, Council. Next item on the agenda is 7B. It's a discussion to adopt the fiscal year 2019-2020 budget. Derek, can you please present this item?
Yep, I do not have a half-hour presentation for you tonight. I did that last time. You're welcome. And again, thanks to the council for the process again this year of going through the operating funds and then all other funds, and then for the opportunity to have a further discussion at the last council meeting to review the entire budget document overall. As I said, Don, a lot of work goes into it from all the directors and the council members that review that also, and especially Finance Director Lynch of pulling together all the numbers and presenting that information. So my thanks to all involved. And at the last meeting, the topic, the council was, the information was presented. The main topic of discussion were the positions based on the input accounts from council at that time. 3 positions, the 2 officers and the human resources coordinator, based on the straw poll we took, were included in the budget document, and the Parks Maintenance Division employee was not. And so that is the information that is included in the budget as identified in the supplement that's in front of council tonight for consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Derek. I'm gonna open up for questions, comments, discussion on this item. Alderwoman Condon?
So as City Administrator Moorfield just talked about, we did the straw poll for numerous reasons. I did not support at the last meeting the Parks position, knowing that that was just a straw poll and wasn't binding. And after hearing some comments after that meeting, called Wayne the mayor the next morning and asked if I could meet and get a little bit more information. So he and I and Pat Gorniak sat down and met and talked a little bit further about what that person, how that person would be of service to the Parks Department. And it became very evident to me that that was a much needed position. So I know that my vote would have changed whether or not that was included in the budget or not that we see before us this evening. So I would like to change my recommendation and include a Parks employee.
Okay. David?
Could you just give us the alternative dollar amounts, Derek, for the budget, if that's the way it's presented in the supplement?
Yeah, that's not the way it's presented.
Oh, okay,
So
all right,
it's just
okay.
by position. Yeah.
That's fine,
Yeah.
so long as the motion's clear, whichever way you're gonna go on this.
Okay. Open up for discussion still by council. Alderman Curry?
Yes, again, you all heard some of my comments the last time, the next couple of times. Personally, I just don't think we can afford to add the personnel requests that we have, let alone any more. Our biggest, obviously, expense right now is personnel, as it is in most cities. Ours is higher than some around us. At the last meeting, Councilmember Glad asked that question as to how do we compare, so I took a look at just a few communities around us. And as was stated in the presentation the last time, our personnel costs are 76% of our budget. Crystal Lake's 1920 budget is 73%, Woodstock's is 72%, and Algonquin's is, well, this is last year, it's not the current. They don't have that out there yet, but their 18-19 budget was 69% personnel cost. So that's what they're showing right now. So in comparison, it might not sound like a lot, but you know, 3, 4, 5, 6% is a big number. You're probably, some of those you could be looking at $1 million. So, and some of that we can't, you know, we're gonna have some increases anyway, as we discussed the last time. So, I mean, obviously, it's still gonna be higher, but I just don't see that we should be pushing it even higher. And of course, a couple of positions, you heard some of my arguments last time on the officers. And I have to repeat it. I mean, we're already higher than 7 out of 10 cities our size in terms of sworn officers per 1,000 population. If we add what we're proposing tonight, it would put us in the 18th percentile. In other words, more than 8 out of 10. We'd be higher. And we were also, as I said last time, we're already at a higher rate than Woodstock or Crystal Lake, which are our 2 closest communities. This would push it even more, even though again, our crime rates are about the same. So, for those reasons, you know, I won't be supporting the budget the way it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Glenn?
Yeah, I take a look at what Alderman Curry just brought up, and again, my concern more than anything else is how do we get some of the infrastructure upgraded that we need? How do we catch up? When we passed the sales tax increase, in the back of my mind, and I think in the back of several people's minds, was the fact that we would have more money for projects. And again, I stated at the last meeting, I don't think these requests would have even been in there had we not increased the revenue. As soon as the revenue came in, all of a sudden now we want all these positions added. Every department head out there can make a great case of why they need more help. They could take and probably come up with a good case of how each one of them could add 10% onto their payroll as far as the amount of people they have, and they could make a case for it if that's what they want. The thing is our community can afford so much. And in my feelings, where do we go next to get revenue? I mean, how high can we go with sales tax to get these projects going? You know, we got Councilmember Devine over there that has, well, I think all of us have a lot of concerns about the flooding that's been going on in his ward over in Lakeland Park. Well, there's a lot of money there that needs to be spent. You go through some of the streets in this town, and some of them that are used quite often with a lot of traffic, and there's a lot of grinding and overlaying that's needed out there. There's a lot of 3 and 4 rated streets that we need to get up to at least 6 or 7. But we're never going to catch up because we're spending it everywhere else. You know, Alderman Curry brought up Algonquin and some of the others. Like he said, you know, if we're looking at 3 or 4%, we're looking at over $1 million. You know, that could be our headway just to do a city street program every single year. So that not that we're doing 2 or 3 streets, but that we're doing a significant amount. So that, let's say, every street within the city gets done within the next 20 or 22 years, and it rotates so that we don't have streets that are totally deteriorating before we repave them. So, like I say, I just can't support putting on all this extra help right now because I think we're definitely shy in the percentages that we need for capital improvements.
Alderman McHenry?
Just for clarification, the document, and I don't know if this doesn't really matter, but just for clarification, the document, the budget, does list the two new alderwomen and not Alderman Curry and myself, and I don't know, I mean, we're the ones that are approving it, fortunately, unfortunately, I don't know. They have to be there to implement, I didn't know if that, you know, if there was a reason for that, and it doesn't matter to me, I just was pointing that out at, just, but, of real note, you know, while points well taken by the other aldermen who spoke about the budget, I just want to point out, especially for the public, that we are in the people business. Should not be surprising to anyone that our biggest cost are employees, because we can't do the projects and the services unless we have the employees to implement those activities. So, and also very significant to note that we cut positions years ago, and we have been doing, and we have not replaced positions of people that have retired. So we have been doing more with less people for a long time. Added to that, the fact that we have increased expenses and we have not raised taxes for years. So at some point, we are going to have to reinvest, and we're looking at different opportunities and ways to do that. And we have to invest in our people. Our staff can only do so much. And I just off the top of my head, and I don't know every employee, I know many who work way more than a 40-hour work week. And some of those are the departments and positions that are asking for additional staff. And we have to give them what they need to be able to provide the services that we expect and our community expects. I don't know, it's just, I get it. It's hard to be able to make those expenses and to add those positions, but the reality is we're not going to be able to fully provide for our staff that we have if they don't have some relief and have additional positions. And I will say what I said again 2 weeks ago, as far as the police department, to me, that's a life safety issue. I'm not willing to gamble that. So.
Alderman Schaefer?
I agree with Alderman Condon and also with what's been said too by the other aldermen, but the two points I want to make, I'm not going to go into what we discussed or what I discussed at the last few times we've gone over this, but just for comparison's sakes, and I know when you use Crystal Lake, they have their own parks district, so that's a separate taxing body. So when you compare their budget, there's no parks people in there, although they do own and operate the, what's the one? Three Oaks. So they do have some of that. So for comparison reasons, I just wanted to clarify that. And then the other point was that although these haven't been possibly in the budget before, they've been asked for before. So it's not brand new this year. Those are just two new points I wanted to make.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Alderman Glenn?
Would Jet Seating be in business if he took and hired all these people and didn't have trucks, adequate trucks to get them to the job and adequate tools for them to use?
I invest every day.
Okay, so that's all I'm saying, you know, is again, that's capital improvements. And that's where to me, that's where that money should be going. So to me, that's a business decision that I would make as far as the fact that we need operating money as far as put on the people, but if you don't have something for them to work with, what are they going to do? So, I'll leave it at that.
Any other questions or comments? Alderman Santee?
Yeah, I'll make it brief. I'm not on the finance committee, but when I did read the agenda on March 11th, I was, a bit surprised, but I just wanted to watch it play out with the committee and how it came to us in regards to the number 4. I was looking more towards capital expenditures with the sales tax that we approved a couple months ago. So, and I don't necessarily see myself as a real numbers person, but the number 4 in 1 year was just ultimately just much too high to absorb for 1 year. That was my concern, and try to be able to get some money towards capital improvements maybe for a year or two, and possibly bring those positions on maybe a little bit easier over a given period of time, maybe 2 or 3 fiscal years as we go through. And after having discussions in-depth discussions with, Parks and Rec, with Hobson, and also with Chief Burke, I was willing to open up my mind to accepting up to the number of 2, but I wasn't going to tell staff or administration to say, here's your number, you folks make the decision of what's most important. And I just can't go higher than a number 2 in regards to 1 year, knowing that we've done the sales tax vote, and I don't, personally, I'm just one person, but I don't want to see another sales tax vote come in front of this council for the next 2 years. I don't want to see property taxes going up either. I mean, that's something that we as a city just, we're only a portion of it, and it's just really, we're not a big portion of it, but when you say the word property tax, those 2 words, it's just really, it really hits a lot of our citizens in the gut, and it hurts, because they've been seeing it every single year for many, many years. And just to verify, make sure I understand, one of the questions that, one of the statements that Alderman Schaefer mentioned about, did we have public discussions about some positions over the last couple of years? Because I want to know, because I did check last year at committee meetings for finance, and I didn't see any staff positions in those notes, and I'm not sure how far back we're going there, but was it in public record, or was it just something that was at administration level, at staff level, and at that point we decided to hold off that year, and it actually wasn't in committee discussions or at the council level?
Want me to answer?
Yeah.
In the last couple of years in the budget, there's been a separate personnel needs section. While it didn't always list all the positions that were requested or needed, I know that there's quite a few in there, or were in there. And also at the committee of the whole meeting the council had last year on a Wednesday, where the planner position was considered and included into the budget. There was, I can't remember all the positions, and by all I mean the positions. Maybe there were just a couple of them that were discussed, but there were personnel needs discussed as part of that meeting also.
And correct me if I'm wrong, one of them was an engineering position too. Was that discussed at that time, or was that something prior?
Something prior.
That was prior?
Yeah, I can't remember that. I can only remember the planner one, because that was a specific one the council chose to include in the budget.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm done.
Thank you. Any other questions? Alderman Curry?
Yeah, just a couple of comments on a couple of things were said. It was said we haven't had a tax increase, and we have huge tax increases, not property tax.
That's what I was referring to, I
Thank you.
apologize.
But we had tax increase in 11, 12, what's today running at about $2 million a year in sales tax. That's when the sales tax was first put in, and we just approved another $1 million. So there's $3 million on what is currently a $22 to $24 million general fund budget when you depending on which number you look at. And then as far as personnel goes, or the percent of cost of personnel, whether or not we include a department or not, it's still, percent is a percent, so we're running at 76%, and the others are running lower, and even if you want to take out Crystal Lake, although the rest of that city is still at 72 or 3%, Woodstock is also at that 72 or 3%, and like I said, Algonquin is running lower than that, 69, so, you know, if we looked at, for example, if we had 6 departments, if we took one out and only looked at 5, I suspect we're still gonna see 76%, so, because it's a percent on what you're spending, so. Unless we're gonna say that it's our Parks Department that's pushing up our cost. That's the, and I can't say that, but, I mean, unless you're gonna suppose that, then percent is percent. So, thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Just one comment on that, is the other caveat that we have that those other municipalities that you mentioned don't have is a dispatch facility that has 20-some employees in it. That accounts for about $2.4 million in our personnel costs. While we do get revenues from the sale of service and partnerships for the, we're talking about expenditures or percent of expenditures. So if you took that $2.4 million out, our operating costs would go down to just over $20 million, and our personnel costs would go to $15 million, which represents about 74% of personnel costs. So that's kind of like one whole division of its own, like you just mentioned, that if you took that out of the mix, which those other communities don't have, our personnel costs would drop to 7%. Still more than the other ones, but not 4% more.
Alderman Condon?
I guess just for consideration, I caution everyone to put all of the weight onto those percentages, because the fact of the matter is, we're talking about our community. We're not talking about services that other communities provide. And I think our community is very happy with the services that we have been providing, and I think they've come to expect that, as they should, in my opinion. So I also caution comparing one community to another in those percentages. Certainly worthwhile to acknowledge, but I'm more concerned about what's happening in our community and what our particular needs are versus the needs of some other community.
Thank you, Jim. I'm going to open up to the public. Is there any public comment on this item? Sir? Step up to the podium, state your name and address for public record, please.
My name is Darius Pfeiffer. I'm at 3430 West Elm Street. I just kind of had a question about the sales tax. Sales tax goes in effect, what's that date that sales tax goes into effect?
July 1st.
So July 1st this year, correct? How is that being communicated to business owners?
I know on the state sales tax website, they put on there any increase, there's a notice that goes out that's posted.
Okay, thank you.
Have a good one. Thank you. Alderman Glenn?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, you know, we're talking about services to the community and the response that we get from our constituents, and from my ward as well as other parts of the city that I've heard. Yes, I don't hear complaints about the services that we give the city, and I think that's a definite plus to all our departments. However, what I do keep hearing about is our infrastructure, and again, that's capital improvements, and I don't care if it's the flooding in Lakeland Park or if it's the streets that are crumbling. That's where the dollars seem to be needed more than anything else, is when you hear the complaints from residents. That seems to be the big complaints, not the services. They're not complaining about the services. They're happy with what they have. It's the infrastructure that bothers them.
Thank you. All right, so at this time, I'm going to look for a motion to adopt, for 7B, motion to adopt the fiscal year 2019-2020 budget with including the 4 new positions, which is 1 Parks, 1 HR, and 2 Police. Alderman Condon?
I will make that motion to approve the 2019-2020 budget, including the 4 new positions.
Thank you. Can I get a second? Alderman Schaefer?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? None? Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Condon?
Yes.
Alderman Schaefer?
Yes.
Alderman Santee?
No.
Alderman Glab?
No?
Alderman Curry?
No.
Alderman McHenry?
Yes.
Alderman DeBoer?
Yes.
Thank you, council. Next item on the agenda is staff reports. Is there any staff reports this evening?
The only thing I wanted to do is thank Deb Meadows for her service to the city of McHenry over the last past year, and wish her well on her retirement also. So thank you, Deb, for that. And also to introduce and welcome Mr. Monty Johnson. I was sitting to Deb's right, your left audience. Will be our new deputy city clerk, taking over that role from Deb, and he started just last Thursday, and I'm looking forward to being able to work with Monty. So welcome.
Any other staff reports? None? Any city council comments?
Yeah, let's talk about the waste drop-off, yard drop-off on Saturdays. What are we doing? What are we trying to formulate over there as far as how we're going to take and police that? You know, it's getting out more and more. You hear it all over town. You hear it on Facebook. And I'm seeing a lot of people that are not in the city that are making comments of, oh, where's Dax Park and when can I drop it off? We're opening up a can of worms here if we don't start regulating that immediately, just about. And again, I know the comment had been made that Prairie Land isn't gonna charge us anymore, but when it comes to renegotiating the project, or the contracts, the first thing they'll look at is how much garbage they picked up at the households and how much waste they're gonna pick up at the yards. So what are we gonna do?
Okay, so staff has been talking about this concern that's been brought up. And a couple different options that we talked about. One of them is to spot check vehicle registration to see where the vehicle is registered to. And if it's not registered within the city of McHenry, they're gonna be turned away. Another option that other municipalities and townships are doing, they are actually issuing stickers to put on their windshield at no cost to the residents. And then to be able to dump they have the sticker on their windshield. So it is something that we're looking into and we're hearing.
But are we gonna take that to a committee soon or something? Because we really need to formulate something before we get into the heavier parts of the summer.
I think we're there. We're in the heavy
Okay.
part, and we don't have time. We're gonna come up with a solution, and we'll forward the information to council with the policy that we're gonna adopt and see how it works.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other city council comments? None? Once again, Alderman Jerry Condon and Alderman Scott Curry, thank you for your service. John Schmidt, congratulations. And Deb Meadows, enjoy, and happy retirement to you as well. So, Alderman Curry?
I did have one other comment, and my comments really surprised me. I want to thank staff as well, and I think I'd be elected to do so because, I know sometimes I'm not the easiest person to deal with, but no, I think we made a lot of progress, and I think that, staff has responded very well to some of the things, and we don't always agree. That's just the way it is. And I also want to recognize my wife Bonnie in the audience. She puts up with all my talk at home, so maybe it won't be quite so bad.
She gets applause.
Now it's
Alderman Santee?
Yeah, I've always had, just spending a lot of time in one position position or just devoting a lot of time, you know, in a position like this, and even like a full-time position with Public Works Director Schmidt leaving after this meeting. And, you know, Alderwoman Condon put a lot of time in. It's unbelievable. I can't believe that I'm still sitting here. And this guy, we gotta figure out what he's thinking. But, yeah, you know, just time just means a lot to me. And enjoy your retirement. I know you will. And I know where you live, so when I see you walking around that back 40,
Yeah.
I'm pulling in. All right? But thanks a lot. Congratulations, really.
I know what vehicle you drive. We threatened to annex him into the city.
Yeah, let's do it.
So you know.
Let's do it.
That's fine. Any other city council comments? See none? Looking for a motion to adjourn. Alderman Santee?
I will make that motion.
Second? Alderman Glenn?
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Santee,
Yes.
Alderman Glab.
Yes.
Alderman Schaefer,
Yes.
Alderman Curry.
Yes.
Alderman LaHave.
Yes.
Alderman Devine.
Yes.
Alderwoman Condon.
Yes.
Thank you, council. Everyone have a good evening.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, ladies.
Okay.